All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning to you, and happy Friday. It's Friday, May 5th, 2021. This morning, we're going to talk about relationships. The title of the show is Relationships for the Win. Let's get started.
It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up.
All right, guys, what's happening? Happy Friday to you. Thanks for being here with me this morning. This morning, we're going to talk about relationships. We're going to dig into why they're important, how to make them more important, how to make them more valuable, all kinds of stuff. We got a lot of stuff to dig into this morning. I want to start just by saying good morning to some folks. Jared, what's happening, man? Trudy, good morning to you. Dean, Rodney, Carla, Randy, Rick, Christina, Tammy. We got people popping on here like crazy. So I was just over on Clubhouse, and you want to talk about relationships and how meaningful they can be. Ben Newman, if you guys are not following Ben Newman, he has continued fight on Instagram. I think he's just Ben Newman here on Facebook, but he is the performance coach for Alabama football and has been for a number of years. And we just had him over on Breakfast with Champions, and I got the opportunity to interact with him. And that happened through a number of relationships. So my good buddy, Scott Simons, was able to get Ben on the show. My other good friend who I spent some time with last week here in Pittsburgh, Chris Saunders, knows Ben very well. And so those connections enabled me to be able to have a conversation with a guy that I have a massive amount of respect for. And man, what a way to start a Friday. So relationships are everything in this world, guys. It's how you're going to get everything that you want in life comes through some sort of relationship. It's where it stops and starts. The value of your relationships matter big time. And so I'm going to talk this morning about how to establish them, how to solidify them, what having valuable relationships will do for your life, and all kinds of stuff in between. So let's jump in here. So how do you establish relationships? This, a lot of the stuff I'm going to say here today, guys, is not rocket science, right? But it is something that we need reminded of on a regular basis because life moves fast, right? We're going from one thing to the next. We don't really think about all the things that we're doing every day. We operate in primarily a subconscious spot, right? And so when you think about that, when you think about relationships, what they mean to you and how they start and how they develop, it usually, the best relationships you have come from intentionally investing into them, right? Intentionally sacrificing to show the other person some care, some attention, some love. So establishing relationships is pretty easy. It starts with setting time aside every day to start new relationships. So, you can do that in business, you can do that in personal. And for me, those things, fortunately, have really mixed together, right? Business and personal are really blended together for me. So it's, I spend time every day developing new relationships and also deepening the relationships that I've already got established. So make sure that you're spending time every single day, taking action intentionally on establishing relationships. And it's that simple. If you put enough effort out there into it, you're going to have a lot of people that come into your life as new relationships. And then you're going to figure out through those people that come into your life, who's a great fit, who maybe isn't, who needs to be close in your circle, and who maybe doesn't, right? But establishing relationships starts and ends with taking the intentions to do it. So second question, how do you solidify relationships? I actually shared this on Clubhouse this morning, but I'm going to share it with you guys as well, because I think that it is one of the greatest things that I've learned in my life. This came from being part of the Arte Syndicate, and this was taught by Andy Frisella. But it is something I've installed into my life. Many of you that interact with me on a regular basis are probably going to recognize the pattern that I'm about to go through here. But it is an acronym that Andy teaches called STIR, STIR. So one of the things that I always say is, that acronym kind of reminds me of stirring a drink, right? And pouring a drink and leaving it sit for too long has the same exact result as having a relationship sit for too long without any attention. Even the best drink will not taste very good if you let it set and get watered down. And relationships are exactly the same. So the S stands for surprise. So studies show there is a direct connection between surprises and happiness, right? People are a lot happier when they get something that they're not expecting. Surprise is a major, major thing for people. It can be something as simple as a selfie video message telling somebody how much they mean to you. It could be a text message out of the blue. It could be a gift, right? Some of the things that I have done is I like to send people books. I have sent people custom merchandise with their company logos on it, not mine. But just surprising somebody with something thoughtful, being intentional about noticing the things that people like. This morning I was listening to Ben Newman and I was taking notes about some of the things that I know Ben likes, some people that he admires. And those are ways that I can create a definite relationship with someone and deepen that relationship by paying attention and creating this element of surprise that creates a reaction in a person, right? So surprise is a major piece of deepening and solidifying any relationship. The second one, T, is teaching. So having a culture of teaching and training, if you're in a company, is obviously critical. But in your personal life, you want to make sure that when you get knowledge, you're sharing it with others, right? So teaching is a huge piece of value for anyone. If you're a person that brings education to my life, I care about you a lot. And so if you are constantly sending me things that you're learning, that's a great way to deepen a relationship with anybody, especially someone that's really looking to grow. So keep that in mind. So surprise is the first one. Teaching is the second one. The I is inefficiencies. The value is in the inefficient things that you do. So it's handwritten thank you cards, sending unexpected gifts, showing up for someone's child's football game, helping them move, anything like that. The value is in the inefficient things that you do. The R is called reconnection. And so for me, this is something that I implemented into my life probably about a year and a half ago. And scheduled reconnection has become one of the most powerful things that I do. So I never go too long without having a meaningful conversation with anybody in my life, on my team. I am always trying to follow up and keep that connection at a high level. So the reason that reconnection is so important is, you can have a great conversation with someone. I was talking about this morning on Clubhouse. So let's say you have a fantastic conversation with somebody. They leave the conversation super charged up, and then they go back to their life. So Ryan Austin's a good example. He's got kids, he's got a business, he's got all kinds of things going on. So I have a great conversation with Ryan, and Ryan goes back to life. He gets home, the baby's not feeling well, crying, somebody needs fed, all kinds of stuff is going wrong, tire on the car's flat, whatever it may be. So the enthusiasm naturally starts to reduce from your conversation. It has nothing to do with you, just a result of life happening. So that scheduled reconnection helps raise that level of enthusiasm back. It reminds them of that conversation. It deepens the relationship that you've already established. So think about that. Surprise, teaching, do inefficient things for people, and then make sure that you're constantly reconnecting with them. And those relationships will naturally get deeper and deeper and deeper and become almost like family to you, right? And so you can be intentional about all of this stuff, and you have to study those people who are getting it right. I duplicated this from Andy Frisella because he runs an incredibly successful company, and this is at the core of what they do. So I want you to think about that. Go look for those things that other people are doing that are working, and duplicate them. This has made a tremendous impact on my life, our business. and most importantly, all of the relationships that I have in my life. So what will having valuable relationships do for your life? Man, it literally makes me emotional to talk about this. The connections and relationships that I have in my life are the most valuable thing that I possess, whether it be the relationship with my wife, with my kids, with the people who are extremely close to me, my business partners, the people that work for us. Those relationships are everything. That is, in today's world, your currency, right? You are worth the collection of your relationships. And so as you deepen those relationships and those people sacrifice for you, you sacrifice for them, they become extremely meaningful. And those relationships will open amazing doors for you. I am literally blown away by the things that happen sometimes on a daily basis in my life as a result of the relationships that I've established. And, it's funny, I was saying on Clubhouse this morning, and I said it again here, like many of you will hear what I just said, that process that I just described to you. It is truly how I live. I've implemented that into my life. And that is the process that I follow. And when I bring somebody into my life, I am organized to who I'm communicating with. Those people that I think are going to add tremendous value to my life, or that I can add value to theirs, they get listed. It's intentional how I connect with people, how I reconnect with them, what I send them as a surprise, how I communicate with them. Everything about it is intentional. And so as a result of that, what has happened for me is that massive doors have opened. I've been introduced to people that I would have never imagined in a million years that I would be talking to, or being coached by, or being given advice by, just on a phone call. Like, I'm talking to people on the phone that I would have never, ever imagined in a million years I would be talking to. And that all starts and ends with relationships. And so when you have a high level of care and respect for relationships and how you speak to people, how you treat them, apologizing when you don't get back to someone, that happens for me. There's a lot going on in my life. So if I ever don't get back to you, it is definitely not intentional. I try to go down my text messages and down through my emails to make sure that I'm not missing anybody. But sometimes something falls through the cracks. But the key to that is, do you take responsibility? Do you apologize? Is it sincere? Does somebody know that you are trying your best? And so those relationships deepen from trust, from honesty, and from a long period of time of somebody watching your character, right? And so I've said this before, but showing up for this show every morning has done a lot for my relationships, because I think it builds trust. When people see you show up every day, they start to trust you, right? They start to see that, maybe you could tell them something that you believe that's maybe not true once or twice, but probably not 302 times, right? And so there's a level of trust that starts to get built from showing up, from pouring into others, from giving, from remembering things that other people don't, birthdays, remembering to check in on people if you think they're not doing well. But those relationships, guys, will open every door that you ever wanted in your life. And I can't encourage you enough to take the time to be intentional about your relationships. They will create every win that you ever wanted in your life. And I am so grateful for the relationships with everyone that I have on this show, for the relationships that I have with the people over on Breakfast with Champions. All of these relationships, man, feed my life. They feed our businesses. They feed my family ultimately as a result of that. And so there's nothing more important to me than that, than to be there for people, to pour into people, to give everything I can. And what has come back to me as a result of that has been tremendous. But it all starts with being very intentional about how you cherish and manage every relationship that exists in your life. Speaking from the heart, being open, telling people how much they mean to you, those things all matter. And when you hear it, you will be able to see the difference. When you can hear yourself saying something that comes from your heart, and what happens to that relationship as a result of it, it becomes addicting, right? You always want to be speaking from the heart, telling people how you feel, telling them how special they are in your life. And as you do that, those relationships just open every door that you ever wanted open in your life. So that is all I got for today, guys. I hope this episode was impactful for you. It is a Friday. So as always, I will tell you, and Ben Newman this morning was talking about Fridays being separation season, right? Fridays being the time when everybody that's great separates themselves from the pack. I'm trying to find the exact quote here, but it was champions create distance on Fridays. So I will leave you again this Friday with the same thing that I say every Friday. Go out like a lion. Don't go out like a mouse. Go to the whistle today, guys. Go till whatever time you need to go to. Those hours are precious. Make sure that you're spending them wisely. Call somebody today, deepen your relationships, do something kind for somebody today. Thank you guys for being here. I will see you again Monday morning, same place, same time, right here on Morning Perspective. Love you guys. Thanks for being here.